Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
Hello everybody, Tony Beers here again, and in this episode of Movie Grades, I'm going to be talking about Iron Man 3. In Iron Man 3, Tony Stark is assembling several more armors because of the events of the Avengers. He now knows that there is extraterrestrial life, and he wants to be prepared in case of another alien attack. Meanwhile, Tony is attacked by a terrorist named the Mandarin. In this attack, Tony loses everything and is assumed dead. Tony must stop the Mandarin, starting from scratch. Now, before I begin my review, I would like to say that there will be spoilers, because there's some things I want to talk about that I can't talk about without spoiling the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, stop my review, watch the movie, and then come back and watch my review. I wanted very much to love this movie. I love the first Iron Man movie. The second movie, while a lot of people didn't like it, I thought was pretty good. And I loved the Avengers. Now, this movie is disappointing, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it's scaled down from the Avengers. It's not so epic. And whenever you come off of a movie that's hugely epic like the Avengers, and you come down to more scaled down version of an Iron Man movie, then of course it's going to be a little disappointing. This movie has its good points and its bad. And unfortunately, there's a lot more bad than good. So I want to get the good out of the way first. The acting is great. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He's got the intelligence, the arrogance, and the sharp wit down. I mean, what more can I say that hasn't been said already about his portrayal of Iron Man? Ben Kingsley is good. He's basically playing two parts here, and I'll talk more about that later, but he's really great at both parts. Guy Pearce is good. He's creepy and evil, although I thought that his portrayal of his younger, geekier self was kind of over the top. Gwyneth Paltrow is good. Her character has a much more active part this time. The special effects are great. They're just what you would expect from an Iron Man movie. The action is good. However, most of the action occurs at the very beginning or the very end. There's not much action throughout the middle, and the action that there is kind of short. The story itself is good. Tony goes through a lot in this movie. He rises up from nothing, and there's a lot of twists in the movie. And if this story was in another movie based on something I'm not familiar with, I would have loved it. And now for the bad. Many people have said that this is a dark-toned movie, and this is the darkest Iron Man movie, and I have to very much disagree. This movie is the lightest Iron Man movie in my opinion. First of all, there's a joke in this movie like every 5 seconds. Now, I know the other movies had plenty of jokes. I mean, it's part of Tony's character, he has that sharp wit. But in this movie, it's way overdone. There is some jokes that he tells that are in a complete inappropriate time. I mean, there's even a scene where he thinks that Pepper dies, and like a second later, he makes a joke. And that's totally inappropriate. Another reason why I say that this is the lightest Iron Man movie is because they give Tony a kid sidekick. I mean, did we really need this kid in this movie? I understand that Tony needs somebody to help him with his Iron Man suit to fix it and everything, but did it have to be this little kid that Tony needs to bond with? The little kid needs a father figure to look up to. Plus, every scene that this kid's in with Tony is boring and slowly paced. And these scenes are also way too schmaltzy. Oh, like I said, I understand that Tony needed this kid to help him, rebuild his armor and fix it up and everything. But they did a scene like this better in the first Iron Man movie. Remember, there's that scene with the guy in the cave with Tony who's helping him build his armor. And this was much better paced, and it helped move the plot along. Whereas the scenes with the kids just brings the movie to a complete halt, and it slows down the movie, and it's very boring in my opinion. The whole middle of this movie is slow paced and boring. I mean, call me crazy, but I want to see action in my action movie. And when I want to see an Iron Man movie, I want to see Iron Man. Now, I understand that some people like this, and that the filmmakers wanted to show that it's the man behind the armor that's the important thing. And I get that. But like I said, I want to see I want to see Iron Man. That's what I want to see, and they didn't have very much Iron Man in this movie. And besides, they kind of already did this with the first movie because, again, Tony was attacked by terrorists, and he was injured, and he has to start from nothing to build an armor suit to escape from terrorists. So they're kind of doing the same thing over again. Now, at the end of the movie, all these 42 Iron Man suits that Tony's been working on show up, and it's a cool scene, and they all look cool, and they all have their special thing, and they do it and everything like that. But there's so many suits that they only show them for a few seconds, and that's it. I would rather have a little bit more time showcasing each armor and seeing what they do. And in this movie, you don't get that. You don't get just a few seconds with the armor. I'd rather have less armors and then spread them out throughout the movie and show off what they can do. What's so great about them? Why did he have to build 42 of these? What are their specialties? I would rather have seen much more time focused on each suit than all of them crammed in one scene at the very end for a brief second. And then he just blows them all up at the end. I mean, why? I mean, the aliens are still out there, Tony. Why do you blow up all 42 suits after using them just once for a couple seconds? That meant all that time you spent building them and all that money was worthless, was pointless. They didn't do nothing with these suits, only used them for a couple seconds. And that there's going to be another Iron Man movie, and of course, an Avengers movie. So why did he blow them up? It doesn't make any sense. And also, it's a very corny way he blows them up. They all blow up when fireworks, and I thought that was kind of stupid. And speaking of the ending, Tony has the shrapnel taken out of his chest, and I know they did this in the comic, but I was still disappointed when they did it then, because every hero has to have his weakness, and this, well, some people would say that, alcohol is Tony's weakness, but this is one of his big weaknesses, was the shrapnel in his chest. This is his Achilles heel. This is his kryptonite. And when you take that away from him, you're taking away a big part of the character. And there's not enough of James Rhodes in the Iron Patriot suit. Now, this goes back to what I was saying about me wanting Iron Man in the Iron Man movie. I want to see James Rhodes be Iron Patriot doing his thing in this movie. And we didn't get that. And whenever we do see James Rhodes in the Iron Patriot suit, he's always screwing up. He's looking for the Mandarin, and he thought he was here, and oh, he's not here. Oh, I'll look for him here. Oh, he's not here. He's always screwing up. I understand that in this story they want to show that Tony Stark is the man behind the armor, that it's the man that's the most important thing, not the Iron Man suit. But why did they have to do the same thing with James Rhodes? Why did they have to take him out of the armor? You've already got Tony Stark out of the armor, so why James Rhodes? So this was very disappointing. Why couldn't they have S.H.I.E.L.D.? I mean, this will be the first Iron Man movie that doesn't have S.H.I.E.L.D. in it in some way or other. Okay, it makes more sense that some of the Avengers members wouldn't be in here because, there's only so many of them, so they're probably busy doing stuff, but there's like thousands of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. You telling me you can't have, just one S.H.I.E.L.D. agent out there helping Tony Stark or something like that? I mean, And this is what Shield does. I mean, isn't this they're supposed to protect us from terrorists and stuff like that? I mean, why isn't they doing anything about the Mandarin? This is a very huge plot hole, I would say, in this movie. Now, this movie isn't very unique. Now, like I've said before, we've already seen Tony Stark, be attacked by terrorists and having to, build himself up with practically nothing. And that's what they're doing again in this movie. So we've already seen that already, for one thing. And for another thing is, I don't want to say it's ripping off Dark Knight, but you can't deny the similarities. A hero that loses everything and then has to start over from scratch. That theme is in a lot of movies, so it's not really ripping off the Dark Knight, but since Dark Knight was so recent and they're both comic book movies, you have to notice the similarities. I mean, there's no way you can't. And the Guy Pearce character is kind of a cliche. He's the character who looks up to Iron Man or their hero, whatever, and then they get denied, so they swear revenge on their hero because they're upset that their hero's not who they built them up to be in their mind. So he's kind of a cliche character, and someone also mentioned that he's exactly like Jim Carrey's Riddler in Batman Forever. He was the guy that looked up to Bruce Wayne and thought he would understand him and thought they'd be friends or whatever. Bruce Wayne denies him, and again, he swears revenge on Bruce Wayne, or in this case, Iron Man. Besides acting like Jim Carrey's Riddler, Guy Pearce also looks a lot like him. He's got the long hair in his eyes, and he's got the glasses and everything. So he even looks like him. Someone also mentioned that he was very much like Syndrome from The Incredibles, which was the exact same story, where this guy looks up to his hero, and the hero's not what he thinks he is. The hero doesn't want to, hang out with Syndrome or Riddler or Guy Pearce's character or whoever. They're all the same character. And then there's this girl who, is the scorned lover, and how many times have we seen that in a movie? That is an extremely cliche character, and here we have it again.
Toxic Pop has a new Facebook page. Like it to see pictures and keep informed about our upcoming events and videos. Go to www.facebook.com/toxicpop1. A link is in the description.